Okay, good afternoon and welcome to first meeting in February. I have a few people in the audience and hopefully a few more watching us on our YouTube channel. The invocation tonight will be given by Councilman Kyle Newton, and a respectful flag will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Roberts. Please rise.
Let us pray. Gracious God, as we gather today to do the work set before us, we pause to center ourselves in gratitude and humility. We ask for wisdom in our discussions, clarity in our decisions, and respect for one another as we serve the greater good. Today, we also hold in our hearts Gertz Eaton. We give thanks for a life marked by service to his country as a captain in the United States Air Force, service to his community through his work on the Anderson City Council, and service to justice as a municipal judge. He loved his country and his community, and he answered that love with commitment, integrity, and leadership. May his example remind us why this work matters. May we be guided by the same sense of duty, fairness, and care for others that he showed throughout his life. And may we honor his legacy by striving to serve with honesty, courage, and compassion. Bless this meeting, our community, and all those we represent. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our last meeting was January 12th, and those minutes have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Make a motion we approve the minutes.
First by Mr. Steele, second by Dr. Thompson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes pass unanimously. We have one item of old business, and that item is request second reading of ordinance 26-02 to rezone 1101, 1103, 1105 McLeese Road from LO Limited Office to NC Neighborhood Commercial. Mr. McEwen.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this rezoning request comes before you on second reading and was previously approved at the January 12th meeting along with the recommended approval from the Planning Commission. The request for rezoning is for the intended purpose to allow for a church to occupy the existing building and site located on McLeese Road, just a block off East Granville Street, and is currently zoned limited office. Mr. Chris Darnell will present the details of this request. Mr. Darnell.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. So just to remind everybody, this application is to locate a church on this property. Churches are allowed in the LO district, which is the current zoning for the property, but there is a minimum 2-acre lot size. The current lot, or the current configuration of lots, is 1.8 acres. The applicant did try to purchase land from adjacent property owners, but was not able to do that. So that's why they're asking for the rezoning. The adjacent lots are fronting on Greenville Street, as Mr. McEwen said, are zoned NC. So this is not a spot zoning. It would just be a continuation of that a little bit further back off of Greenville. The future land use, it's important to note that the future land use map on the comprehensive plan provides the city's long-term version for how land should be developed, and it designates this property as public, semi-public, which encourages community service providers like religious institutions. It's also important to note that in the upcoming changes in the UDO to the zoning map, there is a zone labeled PI, which stands for public institutional. That's very limited to nonprofit, churches, government buildings, things like that. And this could be designated that zone as well on your all's approval. So again, Planning Commission recommends approval of the request in their January meeting, and staff recommends approval as well.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, Mr. Steele?
I had a question just to follow up. You said that we're going to have that PI, the public institution designation. We don't have it yet.
That is correct.
So when you said it could be designated that means that if we zoned it neighborhood commercial now, when the UDO comes through, it could be rezoned again under that category?
So it's a when we're looking at all the zoning citywide, we consider the current uses on those parcels. And because this is a church use on this parcel, we would default to a PI zoning district for that parcel at that time.
Okay.
At that
I just want
time.
to clarify
Yes, sir.
what you were saying about
Yeah.
the PI. Thank you.
Of course.
Ms. Stewart?
So to follow up on what Councilman Steele said, so even though it's gonna be rezoned to neighborhood commercial, let's just say the church didn't want it zoned PI, they wanted left it neighborhood commercial, would they have an opportunity to leave it there, or would they just be, it would be our discretion or their discretion?
So at that time, they would come before you and say, listen, we're not interested in the PI zoning, and would make that request of you at that time.
But-
So it would stay neighborhood commercial up until that time?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And I guess that kind of leads, my second question is that, I know this is a church, small church now, I know they're growing, that's why they're looking, to come here, and as, I would assume they would continue to grow, they probably outgrow this space, at some point in time, but my concern would be is that you got St. Joseph's Catholic School, which is right, that borders up to that, and just wanted to see what we can do, for any type of buffers or protection, because I'm just looking at, hey, if the church leaves and it's neighborhood commercial, then there's a lot of other uses that could be there instead of a church, and would we want that, backing up to a long-standing church and a school that it borders?
So our current landscape ordinance provides for it's called an adjacent use buffer, which, with the determination of the zoning administrator, can be applied to a property if the two uses are incompatible. So I can give you that's in the code, that there could be an additional buffer with plantings required if that were not a church.
But with it being a church, there's no
Because
separation requirements or anything, buffers or anything backing up to their property?
Because those two uses are the same, the Catholic Church and this church, the uses are the same, so there's no incompatibility, so there would be no additional buffer required.
But any other non-church use would require
If
additional
it's
buffer.
incompatible, yes, sir, if it's incompatible
Yeah.
with the school or the Catholic Church. And it's important to note that the parcel that's immediately adjacent to them is the vicarage of the Catholic Church. The school is actually further off to the right-hand side.
But I know they're looking to it, they got a big capital improvement, they're getting ready to expand to build, additional buildings, on their property, and as they continue to grow, so that's what I'm
Yes,
looking at
sir.
long-term instead of just a short-term.
Yes, sir. I understand where you're coming from. And speaking to that development, none of that expansion is on that parcel. None of the expansion for the school is on that parcel that's immediately adjacent to the two parcels you're looking at tonight.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I consider this request reasonable and most appropriate, and therefore I would move that we.
Have a first by Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Mr. Harvin. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We have 4 items of new business, and the first item is request consideration of an ordinance to annex and zone to GC, general commercial, approximately 9.8 acres located off of South Carolina 28 bypass near the Clemson Boulevard interchange. Mr. McEwen.
Item B1 is request for annexation and zoning of approximately 9.8 acres located off SE 28 bypass near the Clemson Boulevard interchange. While the parcels are currently vacant, the proposed use is for new construction of a prospective apartment complex. This rezoning request comes before you on first reading and was previously recommended for approval from the Planning Commission at their February 3rd meeting. These parcels fall within the urbanized and commercial area of northern Anderson and are contiguous with the municipal boundaries. Additionally, these parcels are in the city's water service district and are in proximity to the Electric City Transit bus service. Furthermore, the site is able to be serviced by the City of Anderson Public Safety. I'll turn it over to Mr. Darnell to present the details of the request.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. So again, this is 6 lots. You can see them there. And they are adjacent on the southern side to the city limits. It's important to note that these lots and the road, the service road that accesses those lots was approved as a commercial development essentially in the county. To develop this property, annexation is required to obtain water and sewer per the Water and Sewer Service Annexation Agreement and restrictive covenants. The applicant, again, is asking or considering construction of an apartment complex that would be attainable housing. Staff believes GC, general commercial zoning, is the most appropriate because it fits the adjacent uses there on the bypass at the bypass in Clemson Boulevard. And GC, it's important to note that GC also allows for the multi-family use that's proposed by the applicant. Again, Planning Commission recommended approval at their February meeting, and staff recommends approval as well. The applicant is present if there are questions of them.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Ms. Steele? Mr. Stewart? Mr. Roberts? Go ahead.
Looking at this, it seems like the applicant wants to put something very similar to the other apartments in the area. If you look kind of across there, you have RM 18 for the other 2 complexes that are out there that are similar facilities. Is there a reason that the recommendation is for general commercial rather than for that RM 18?
So again, the general commercial recommendation was based on its proximity to the highway, the 4-lane highway there at the bypass and the off-ramp, and the adjacent uses there as you see coming in off of the bypass. So that would, the GC also allows for multifamily. It just seems like it fits better. A GC designation fits better than the RM18. I do understand what you're saying, though, that it is adjacent to RM18, but it's also adjacent to and has access to that 4-lane highway, which is where you would locate general commercial.
Ms. Roberts? Jeff?
I realize this is in our water and sewer service area.
Yes, sir.
Are there any
Water service area.
water service, not sewer?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any requirements to extend our service to provide water, and if there is, at whose expense is it?
Yeah, it's not necessarily. We have capacity there.
And the developer will
Tap into the,
tap into our water system
correct,
at their expense.
and the county's sewer system at their expense.
So no infrastructure cost on our end, correct? It's already there, yep.
I think,
Dr. Thompson?
housing is so needed in that area. It fits right in, so I would think that annexation would be a good thing to do, that piece of property, where it's located.
Any other questions, Mr. Stewart?
The white building that's right there, is that Welborn Tire?
Where is that again?
On your map,
Right
in
here.
front of you, the white building, on the map in front of you?
Lower right?
Yeah, lower right, right there.
I believe
And-
so.
and Creekside Barbecue is across the street.
Is
from that.
across the street, yes, sir.
So, and I understand, but I'm kind of leaning towards what Councilman Steele said. I'm just trying to understand, you've got RM18, general commercial, there's a lot more uses that you could put there.
Including a restaurant. I think that was one of the thoughts that we had, is that if you had a restaurant opportunity to come here, because you have Longhorn,
Right
you have
here.
Olive Garden, you have all these right nearby, you would be limited by going to RM18 for a restaurant.
So is the plan, sorry, guys.
I'm saying, so, was it, but is there not, it's gonna be strictly a housing development, not,
It's perspective. It may or may not happen.
So I think it's important to note that that access road is off the bypass. Access to these parcels will be off the bypass where you already have an existing commercial, albeit in the county, but existing commercial buildings and uses.
and I guess, well, I understand, you know, because even like the ones across the street on Ashton Place, I think it just got built across the street. We put those as RM18, even though you got general commercial on the other side of it. So, you know, so just trying to understand the
Sure.
rationale, you know, what you're making here when you just did something different, you know.
Yeah, the position from the city would be this. You have, so what's being proposed is an application process with the state, as you guys are familiar with for apartment complex. So that may or may not be successful. Setting this up, obviously this is within our urbanized area of Anderson. It fits. It's been in an area that we've designated, given the opportunity, would be ripe to come into the municipal boundaries, and we can provide the services available in this area. Is consistent with what you have in the area and the fact that it's already zoned for commercial in the county. You wouldn't want to limit yourself to, okay, well, we got to go through a whole thing, or it's just a risk thing when you have a franchise all of a sudden looking at you, as we have a lot of that happening in this area, to locate. That's the first thing they're going to look at, and that's a risk to them, is we go ahead and appropriately zone it, in our opinion, to general commercial, with it fronting that roadway, knowing also there would be a buffer. There's a lot of trees there. You have a natural buffer that you could save, but there would be a buffer, if it was GC, to that apartment complex, the Hamptons apartment complex. And so you have a lot of room there to have a buffer if it were to be, I don't know, a new big restaurant or something.
So this application, this is a housing tax credit program, is what you say?
Yes, sir.
Application is going, okay, so they need this for points,
Yes, sir.
okay, that's, okay.
And then another one would be, too, how I look at it, is obviously retail is a huge economic impact on our city, and the revenue that comes in and the services we're able to provide. And we're very fortunate with the commercial quarters we have, is this is a good site for a retail opportunity.
And the response time from, you know, if it was, you know, fire, safety to get there, I know I guess when new fire station 4 gets built, that's what we're
Yep,
anticipating probably happen all about the same time, the fire station
correct.
and this development, so.
So Fire Station 4, fully paid fire department, Class 1, 1.2 miles away from this site. Our backup station is 3.2 miles away from that site. That would be Station 2. And Station 3 is 5 miles, all fully staffed firefighters be able to respond. Public safety in this area issue from from a police standpoint, we already have a northern section here that we cover all the retail area. It wouldn't be any additional for these parcels to be added.
We would be stretching it pretty thin on a busy day without fire station 4, huh?
Without Fire Station 4 and not knowing that's coming, and the architects are here in town now, and we're working on that as fast as we can, then it probably wouldn't be doable.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Stu?
So, going back to the last application we considered, you said, okay, if they come in as neighborhood commercial, but then we have this PI zoning, we could kind of essentially back zone to that proper zone at that time. Would that be an option for this property if, let's say that this helps them get the points they need to move forward with their development, break ground, we have a whole apartment complex there. At that point, would it just remain general commercial?
If the apartment complex is there in its zone, yes, unless you wanted to change it in your map. So when the map policy comes before you, you could change that.
Anything else?
I think it I think it makes sense to do it this way. I think it helps the applicant, it helps the city, and doesn't tie their hands should that not qualify or whatever change. And if it was my property, I'd want to be able to leave it GC as well. So I think it's a win-win. So I make a motion to approve.
Have first by Mr. John Roberts, second by Mr. Steele. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously on the first reading. Our second item of new business is request consideration of ordinance annex and zone 1310 West Market Street to NC Neighborhood Commercial. Ms. McEwen.
This rezoning request comes before you on first reading and was previously recommended for approval from the Planning Commission at their February 3rd meeting. These parcels fall within the urbanized area of West Anderson and are contiguous with the municipal boundaries. Additionally, the parcels are in the city's water and sewer service district. Furthermore, the site is able to be serviced by the City of Anderson Public Safety. Mr. Darnell will go over the details of the rezoning requests and annexation.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. So, as you can see, this is pretty much an infill annexation. We're closing up a hole with this application. So there's two lots between that, the NC that you see on your screen, which is in the pink, and the yellow, which is single-family residential there on the right-hand side. There is an existing barber shop, again, in that pink area of the NC. The applicant is asking to annex this so that he can expand that and construct a barber school. All we have at this current time is a floor plan for that, but with this annexation and that development of that school, he would need to comply with the landscape code, the sign ordinance, and other ordinances that the city has. So we would have a hand in what that development looks like. Staff believes the NC neighborhood commercial zoning is appropriate given its uses and, given its proximity to the existing zoning. So it's not a spot zoning concern here. Planning Commission recommended approval at their February meeting. Staff recommends approval as well. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Questions, comments?
The location, I think, is appropriate because that's an area, because about not just having a barber shop, but a school to teach. This is an excellent place for it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I'd like to make a comment. I know the applicant does a great job with the barber shop
Yeah.
over there, and I think this would be a great opportunity to help, a
Upgrade that
small
area.
business kind of expand to grow into something more.
If I'm looking at this map correctly, across the street, that's R5, that's actually non-conforming, right? Because those are businesses, right?
Yes, sir, you're correct. Those buildings are more commercial in nature.
Any other questions, comments?
I move that we pass this annexation request.
We have a first by Dr. Thompson, second by Mr. Stewart. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously on the first reading. Our third item is request consideration of approval to renew contract for OpenGov asset management software. Ms. McEwen.
The request is for general approval for a contract renewal for the city's operations management software that also serves as our asset management functions used across various divisions. I'll turn it over to Ms. Ashley Pruitt, the city's IT GIS manager who administers the software, to present the details of the contract renewal. Ms. Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. As Mr. McEwen mentioned, this asset management software runs on a 3-year contract term. We previously renewed in 2022. The software has expanded. It started in wastewater. It's expanded to water operations. Our Public Works Division uses it, Parks and Rec with an emphasis on park maintenance requests that come in. It's integrated with our sort of 311 system, Anderson Connect, also known as C-Click-Fix. So that the expense of that entire service is encompassed in this contract. There are also integrations that are within this contract for fuel system management. So we have something we use at our pumps called DX Fleet, and then also any kind of WEX card we use if fire or sanitation uses it out, if they use sort of commercial gas out into the region, it gets integrated into this to track all of that information. All of our operations, so requests to work order management is held in this, as well as all of the assets that goes toward. So if we were to do work on an asset, this is the software we use to attribute the time, the materials, the resources to that particular asset, and then sort of keep a life cycle of everything the city's managing. It's held in a 3-year term. It increases 5% annually, with the first year being $98,000, going up year 2 and year 3 for a total of $3,1231.33. We feel this is a good move for us. It was formerly Cartograph. They've kept Cartograph staff on for OpenGov. We've got a lot of our departments trained to sort of know how to use it, know how to get in, and they've got a lot of sort of invested in the system in terms of creating automations, preventative maintenance plans, things like that. So we feel it's in our interest to continue with OpenGov.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Mr. Roberts, John?
What was the company you mentioned that it previously was?
Cartograph, asset
Cartograph.
management out of
And that's when, so was that 3 years ago or 6 years ago? 8?
So we had the 2014, you working with the EPA, and then after
CMO.
that, you had to bring on,
Because
so
I remember there was a lot of,
shortly after that,
yeah,
mandates that we had to meet.
yeah, and then.
And so it got brought
so we
on the
looked at a
sewer
lot of
side first.
Different systems, and that seemed to be the one. So-
Yeah, another example, John, Mr. Roberts, would be, is we recently had a contract before us to exercise, well, it was broken out over 3 years too, but all the hydrants in the city and all the
Right.
valves, the water valves in
Right.
the city, right? And within that contract, it actually stated that they would gather, confirm the GIS information we had, confirm the flow of it, including static, and the flow to it, and then also what the status of the valve was. That all information would be uploaded to this system, and then it gives you a visualization of it, our entire water sewer system, and you can just click and point on it. It'll tell you exactly what it is, what's the history of it. That's a good example of it. We also have it on our generators, elevators, you name the mechanical.
Which is how we're able to time with C-Click-Fix too, right?
Yes.
Because of the way it's-
So if you went in, there's a, actually, and I were talking about this earlier, if you went in, you said, you recognize it was an elevator issue at West Whitner Parking Garage, you could select that on C-Click-Fix, the app. It would send that into this software program, issue a work order for the next day, and we would be inspecting that.
So overall, the department heads, everyone's pleased with this system.
Very pleased. And I'll also add to it too, because we're just talking day to day right now. When we had the Hurricane Helene, we had already used it in emergency management prior to that on some other smaller storms that we had. But when Hurricane Helene came along, it was a huge, once we got all the 911 calls and we had all that in of the lines down, the trees down, the hazards, we inserted that into this software system as well. Which told us our current status, and then we could run different routes off of that. And we utilize that to deploy our assets to during the recovery.
Good. Mr. Harvey, then Mayor Pro Tem.
So I
Mr.
think,
Stewart.
Mr. McEwen, so when we started this with the sewer, and it was the mapping of the sewer and the maintenance and all that, did we just internally expand this as, because I mean, I think I remember the conversation of how it exactly started, and it wasn't this massive data collection management. I mean, to me, I think it's, you know, you can get the fuel usage of certain vehicles, I think it's unbelievable. And it started out as a mapping and sewer control flow. How did we get to where we are today, did they just keep offering more, or did they offered and we just expanded what we were using?
Yeah, they were developing their software out. Naturally, it was if you can map the sewer system to that level of detail, you can do the water system, so that they convert over to the water system. Then you have the wastewater treatment plants and all the different functional elements, mechanical elements of the wastewater treatment plants. Of course, our engineering division of Public Works works closely with utilities, and they saw the benefit there, so it kind of rolled over, and it just kind of kept rolling over one to the next. With the benefit of it. But I want to give another example that about a year ago, it's been about a year, first we thought this is something that we need to push to a consultant to do, was to look at our sanitation routes and look at the efficiency there, because we grew in certain areas of the city, and these routes were fits with a certain volume, and the numbers were way off. You would have 2,800 carts for pickup one day, and 1,100 for another day on pickup, and obviously you want to smooth that out. Well, our engineering folks and Public Works Administration said, hey, we believe this software can help us accomplish this, and we want to take this on as a project, so let's go for it. And it did. It was really something else, and it leveled out all our pickup days. So a good example of that is when we had the ICE event and we couldn't run on Monday, we know we can do a double day on Tuesday. Now, we might have to be running later in the day, which we did, but we can do a double day, and because it leveled that out, and we don't have these, and we'll continue doing that as the growth pattern changes. But that was another powerful tool that the software allowed us to do that what we didn't have access to before.
Interesting. Good. Let's do it.
What is our current contract this year? What are we paying this year? Do we know? I know for the new contract, it starts out at $98,000. What are we paying this year?
Thought I had that number, but I don't. I believe it would be 5% less than 89.
Okay, so they just went up 5% from what we're paying now to the current new contract of 3 years. I know it increases 5% now, but I didn't know if they took a 15% hike for this new contract, or?
This one is higher than 5% on the amount we're paying now, because we use this as an opportunity. So since we've had it, we have had effectively 100 user licenses, which has limited us capacity-wise. We'll have like one crew where someone's logging the time for someone else or their entire crew at one time. And when OpenGov purchased Cartograph, they moved to a model where you couldn't add X number of users, 25, 30, whatever you wanted. They said, we're unlimited. We had a call at that time where the price we felt was just, we couldn't do it. Like, we just felt like it was too much money to ask for a single, just to switch over at that point. And through some conversations at conferences with other municipalities, I got the impression that the time to sort of make that jump is when they want us to renew, to get a better quote from them than we were getting mid-contract. So this would be for unlimited. After a lot of discussion, they got it down. We asked if they could get it down as close as possible to what that price would have been, and or under 100 year one, to keep it low. And this was what they worked with. So we felt like, per the number of users we have capacity for that we're getting asked, like sanitation is a good example. Right now, they don't have the capacity to have all operators running it on their trucks, but through conversations with the sanitation director, he was like, that would help us potentially eliminate other products we've used to work around a lack of licenses. So, yeah.
So it'd be unlimited users?
Yes.
Good. Anything else, guys?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion we approve this.
First by Mr. Harvin, second by Mr. Roberts, John Roberts. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Our last item is request consideration of a resolution certifying certain real property in the city of Anderson as an abandoned building site. Ms. McEwen.
The resolution before you is for the former Sears property located at the Anderson Mall. The request comes from representatives of the owner seeking state income tax credit incentives for rehab and renovation of the abandoned building. Our city attorney, Frankie McLean, put this together for you. You have seen this from time to time come through as far as these requests. They can be for property or state income tax, we direct them to seek the state income tax. Mr. McLean, can you add to that?
Just a little bit, this is, like the old Sears building at the mall that this company now owns and is going to bring some kind of store in. I think it's called Rural King, is what they're looking at putting in the Sears, but they're just asking, like you have done before, to certify that it has been abandoned for over 5 years. The Sears has been closed, I think, for 7 years or so, but that's their request, and we recommend it.
Thank you.
Request be granted.
Any questions, comments?
What is the new tenant going in? What was the name of it?
Rural King,
Rural, yeah, what are they?
they're a large retailer for,
Agriculture?
kind of sell everything, agriculture, tractor supply type retailer, clothing too, kind of everything in that realm.
Does this company own just the Sears property, or do they own the, okay, so
They bought the entire Sears parcel.
got it, okay.
And so the mall, interesting enough, so you see the next parcel down, many of the stores, so Belk owns their own property, Dillard's owns their own property. The Anderson Mall, if you will, is kind of the corridor center part, and then over to what was the former J.C. Penney's, and that's owned by the actual mall corporation.
Hard to believe, I think Sears has been closed for about 8 or 9 years now.
I know we need some adjustments, enhancements, we call them, in the mall. It's going down. Is someone coming in to bring in?
Yes.
adjustments?
Yes, ma'am. So the retailer is a larger retailer called Rural King, and they bought the entire parcel, and it will add a lot of activity to this site, particularly being that the fact that it's on the back of the mall. And I think that's very helpful for the property and the mall itself. And then hopefully that translates to more pedestrian traffic, which would help with the inside of the mall as far as the retailers coming inside the mall that need the pedestrian traffic.
Was that originally bought by Richard Denver?
It was brokered, once owned by him, Mr. Bennett, and then brokered out and sold to this company that's also is the retailer.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments?
Make a motion to certify.
Uh,
Pass the resolution.
First by Mr. John Roberts,
Second.
second by Mr. Harbin. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We're at the end of our meeting. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Steele. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?